Life After Sunday, a podcast by dudes, for dudes, where faith meets the real world. For Eric Duval and Mike Norman, I'm Chris Boren. Let's go.
What is up, gentlemen? How are you guys this evening?
Awesome.
My gentleman, it seems like I haven't seen y'all in like 6 months.
Yeah, you've been on a little bit of a whirlwind. It's been a while.
I have.
And then we missed last week because Chris was in Florida. You were in Texas.
In Texas, yep. I was in Texas.
In Waco, in the armpit of the United States known as Texas. I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it down there.
All my friends get mad at me, the two who listen to this from Texas. They'll be like, why are you always trashing Texas? Texas was good to you. And I'm like, you're right. It was. Thank you, Texas.
I enjoyed my time down there. It was fun.
No place like
Hey, look here, I got something for y'all.
Arkansas.
Hey, who are these guys?
Man, that tall dude is handsome. Who is that? I'm going to put on my glasses.
I got that
just
same
this-
picture sitting beside my
That's
bed.
me. Oh, that's
Yep.
me. Oh,
That's you. Yep. I got that from my desk. So I had to show you guys.
Nice.
I got the same
I got it
picture
in
by my
shop.
bed.
Let's go.
That's weird. No, that's weird. You don't look at it. You don't stare into my eyes before bedtime, do you?
I do. Right.
Those
in
beautiful
that's
dead
all right.
eyes.
Hey,
Actually, roll over.
I'm comfortable.
I don't face my wife. I roll over and look at you in that. As I'm falling asleep.
Well, I mean, we're bros, man. I mean, that's what bros do.
We're tight
we're
like
tight.
that.
Still
Huh?
June.
Yeah.
One more day.
This is the last day of June. Might as well get all this in.
Speaking of the last day of June, the 4th of July is upon us, man. One of my favorite holidays, man. Just celebrating our freedom, fireworks, hanging out with family, grilling, cooking out. Just being thankful, man. We live in a country that we can do that because of sacrifices that were made, that people that have accepted the call to defend our great nation, man. And I just love it. I love everything about it. America, baby.
That's right, man. You left off sweating. We're going to sweat. We're going to sweat out there on Moss Lane in Atkins. But it's all good. There's I don't know if y'all remember that TV show Parks and Rec, the character Ron Swanson. He's a man's man. He had a quote that said, history began on July 4th, 1776. Everything before that was a mistake.
Like it. Well said.
Yep. I love that.
Well said.
Yeah. In our church bulletin this morning, man, it had a huge bald eagle flying, this picture, and it had the
Oh, yeah.
some lyrics to Land of the Free and all that, man. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Hey, as battered as she is, man, Lady Liberty still the standard, right?
She's still the standard.
Absolutely.
Still the standard.
Eric, tell us about your crazy encounter in Waco, sir.
Man, I debated whether to even tell this story, but I got to tell you. So I've been in Texas. It was not the armpit, Mike. It was lovely, by the way. Everyone there was amazing, was super nice, very friendly. We had a great week. The food was great. Even you got to admit that. Baylor University is a beautiful campus. Their football stadium is amazing. Had a great time. Well, me and my lovely bride decided to get out and drive around the countryside. And so we enjoyed that. And in the spur of the moment, we made a terrible, horrible decision. We decided to drive out to the site of the Branch Davidian standoff site. If you guys remember that, I know Mike does. The big FBI, ATF standoff with the cult, the Branch Davidians out there in 1993 and outside of Waco. And we drove out there, man, and it was almost sundown, first of all, just almost dark. The gate was open. I put it in Google Maps. It'd take you right to it. So I don't know what we were expecting to see or why we thought we needed to go, but we did. We pulled up, and instantly, as soon as you pull up, there's a memorial there, but that the Branch Davidians made about all the people who passed away and whatnot. And it's just immediately started feeling weird, heavy. My wife got pretty upset. So you pull up just a little bit, and there's just looks like a church. And apparently the Branch Davidians are still around, still a thing.
Let me stop you. Tell these people, tell the audience what they are and what even happened back then that would even be. Well, tell them what happened.
Well, I'll tell you, but the Branch Davidians are some kind of offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist. Did I say that right? Church. I'm guilty. I don't know all the ins and outs. As far as the actual event itself, Mike could probably fill in exactly what happened better than I could, how it all came about. Mike, why don't you do that?
Well, I mean, it was just a cult. And the ATF, I believe that David Koresh had some weapon violations. And so they descended on the compound. And I've complained about the ATF before, and the Branch Davidians are a cult. They're evil and they're bad. But whenever the way they handled it, again, just kind of like they did the Little Rock director in Little Rock, the airport director, the way they handled that. In my experience, the best way to handle that stuff is, the David Koresh went to town on a pretty routine basis, and you could have easily stopped him out in town away from the big, their big compound. And places like that crumble pretty quick when their leader's taken down. At least you increase the odds of a less violent outcome when their leader is taken down. But no, they went after him with the leader there at the house. And of course, they were tipped off because everybody around there is Branch Davidian. So there was no surprise. It turned into be a giant disaster. The David Koresh wouldn't come out, and I don't know do you know the total number of people killed when you were there, Eric?
76 or 77, I believe, including 20 children.
Yeah. So they started trying to, they fired tear gas canisters in, and you have to, I don't know if they had this at the time, but there are non-flammable and there are flammable ones. And I don't know this for a fact, but I believe the ones that they shot in they knew that they would cause a fire. And there are ones you can shoot in that don't cause fires. And then the place caught on fire, and those people stayed there, and it was a massive loss of life. So very evil place. A lot of bad things happen there. But there's a Netflix documentary, I think, on it. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube. But the bottom line is, Eric was visiting a place where lots of death occurred, and the government made some poor decisions.
Yes,
didn't that guy to make his people believe, like brainwash him, that he was like the Messiah and all this stuff?
That he was Jesus. Yep.
Yep. And he claimed each of the women in there as his own, and they had the opportunity to sleep with Jesus and all that stuff. That's actually the main reason we went, because we had watched that documentary on Netflix, and it's a fascinating documentary. It's really well done. They don't take a side, which is surprising. They don't take a side. They just tell you what happened from the actual people who were there, from the government and from the Branch Davidian side, news footage, all of it. Well, anyway, that's kind of the reason that it even came to our minds to do that. Well, I got out of the car, man, and I wish I wouldn't have, man. I didn't realize where I was standing. You can go online and look at aerial photos of the site. I was standing right next to what is now a church, but there's a red sign and there's a hole in the ground right there. And the sign reads, "The bunker where the children were when they started gassing," where they gassed those children. And I was just like, man, I just felt really weird and just dark, man. And I call me crazy, but I think there's good and evil, and there's a darkness out there. And so as we started to leave, we were trying to leave because we felt weird. There's this lady There's a trailer about 100 yards away. She lives there. There's no way. I'm convinced she's got to be Branch Davidian. She starts screaming at us. We're hot. We're in the car, and here comes this truck, this big old Ford pickup that follows us all the way out of the complex, and out of the main gate and down the main road out to the highway. This truck followed us, and then just turned around and left. Apparently, come to find out, that place closes at 5.
What time was it when y'all were there?
Oh, almost 8.
You almost died, sir.
But yeah, I could have, man. I'm telling you, I don't know why I shouldn't have brought that up tonight, but I mean, it's history. I mean, that was a big deal back in '93 because it lasted like 52 days. And the news, it was on the news every day.
They did an excellent job of creating a giant hostage situation. It was just
absolutely.
And how many ATF agents died?
Was it 6, Mike? 4, something like that?
For some reason, I thought it was like 2 or ATF agents.
I don't know why I thought. Well, there's a bunch wounded. I know that too. And if you get a chance, like anybody watching this, the documentary it's really, and it's fascinating, sad, and it's also very telling. Like Mike said, so many mistakes were made on the part of the government, the folks who should have been in charge of all this and made, the adults in the room, so to speak. There was no communication between the different teams, like the ATF and the FBI, like the hostage negotiation team. There was no communication with them and the hostage rescue team guys who were like gung-ho, ready to go like drive tanks into the building and stuff. There was no communication between those two. So one guy's over here negotiating really hard, working really hard to bring this to an end. The other guys are over here ready to drive tanks into the building. And it was just, They interviewed the snipers who were set up at the different houses that were surrounding, and we found those. They're actually in Google Maps listed like they were by their government call signs, like Sierra 1 is where the first sniper was set up, and they're actually in Google Maps. You can look up Sierra 1 because I pulled it up while I was there looking around trying to see where I was, and you can see all of it. The guts of the building, like the foundation of the building still there, the compound.
It says 4 federal agents killed and 14 wounded. And that's another thing that makes me mad too, is whenever they do dumb stuff like this, they get their officers hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they talk about that in the documentary about how that some of those guys that were killed were just really good dudes.
Yeah.
They were just following orders.
Bad leadership. And just like the raid in on the Little Rock Airport director's house, I'm sure the guy who pulled the trigger, we all would have pulled the trigger. If we were the first one in the door where we think we're doing the right thing and you're around the corner and a guy's raising a gun at you from a bedroom, I don't fault him at all. He did what he's supposed to do. I fault the leadership. And you see it repeated over and over again, just this terrible leadership within the FBI or ATF, and it puts the guys on the ground in terrible positions because, that guy was forced to shoot and kill a guy with no criminal record who had committed some gun violations, and But that's a rough place you visited.
Yeah, it was, man. It really was. And I'll say this too about that documentary. If you haven't watched it again, go watch it because it shows the entire gunfight, all of it.
They had rounds coming through when he was on the roof. I'll never forget it when I was watching it. They were on the roof trying to rake the glass, and then rounds just started coming through, and he slid down the roof and down to the side. It was a nightmare scenario for those agents.
It's that guy that's telling the story. It's that guy. And then, you hear it from his perspective, the sniper's perspective, and then the Branch Davidian folks who escaped. You hear it from their perspective as well. So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, don't go out there if you ever get a chance. Don't do it. It ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it.
Ain't worth it. Well, that's
June. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. June, what?
June 27th will go down in our nation's history. This presidential debate was absolutely. I don't really have no words, man. This is insane.
I said something to Chris earlier, Mike, and we're going to talk about. There's going to be some funny ha-ha moments. This was historic in a bad way.
Yeah, it was.
We are literally, the whole world is laughing at us right now.
Laughing stock.
And that's, to me, and there's some serious messed up stuff going on around the world, but we're the low bar at the moment.
Well, I always kind of go, my favorite thing to do when I analyze or look at anything is there's always the obvious point, right? And so like in this debate, the obvious thing is, number one, look, Trump is a hell of a lot better than Biden, but at the same time, I'm watching these two guys up there, and I'm like, is this the best we can do?
Exactly.
I'm like having flashbacks to Reagan, and I'm just like, it's embarrassing. So the second the deeper thing that gets me is that this man is currently running our country. Like, he's in charge. Would you trust him to run the car wash where all they got to do is put new quarters in and spray the bays down? No.
He can't even walk off the debate stage by himself.
No, it's terrifying, which means there are people who are unelected running the country. And he just goes, sounds good. Yeah, whatever, And
you're absolutely right about a couple points here, Mike. And I want to bring two things here. One, you're absolutely right. Is this the best we can do? Okay. I agree. I'm a Trump guy all the way. Policy wise, Trump is light years better.
Agree.
Period. Full stop. His policies work. America is better because of his policies. Now, do you remember, you guys know how big of a Vivek guy I am. I like the guy a lot. You remember back when he first on the scene, he was telling us straight up back then, this guy is not running anything, and he will not be the nominee. There is no chance. And everybody was like, ha, 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 what an idiot and loser and conspiracy theorist and all that. Dude, he's exactly right. He was spot on, 1,000% spot on. He nailed it.
He did.
And I would give anything, I'm going to tell you right now, just one more little thing. I would give anything to have a leader. Imagine Vivek standing up there the other night against Biden. Do you realize what Vivek would have done to Biden? He would have had Biden to where he couldn't even think about saying a word.
What I would like to hear from, and Trump's capable of this, and I don't know why he doesn't do it, but just stop with the absolutes of everything's amazing, it's awesome, it's beautiful. Like he has the numbers in his head. Get down and talk policy. Get down and talk the numbers on things. Talk about what you did instead of just these big, dumb words that just fit. Everything's amazing. Everything's awesome. And just get in to articulate your position better, because you got a blubbering idiot over here. All you have to do is just articulate your points. And Vivek, I can't say his name. Is it Vivek? Vivek.
Yeah.
He's amazing at articulating points.
We don't.
Is it not so refreshing to hear that?
Yes.
Trump, and stop like we already know this whole thing. Biden's policies are terrible. Stop blaming him, and like you said, Mike, give us some data, give us some points. Like, they just blamed each other the whole debate. The country's bad because he.
Ridiculous.
True, but I want to hear more than that. I want to hear more that.
Yeah.
You got an 8-stroke handicap, which neither one of them do. They're probably both terrible at golf. Let's not talk about golf.
Trump's pretty salty.
Yeah. Now, he did do good not taking the bait and getting mad. Yes. He did much better at that.
Yep.
And he did have a few points that he made with a few things regarding specific numbers, but there at the end he loosened up a little bit more and started going after Biden a little bit more. But I did like the way he pretty much wouldn't even look at him, just ignore him, don't even acknowledge him. That was good. But yeah, I go back and watch like a Reagan debate, and it's just so beautiful to see after this childish thing that we watched the other night.
Yep, absolutely right. And like what we're forgetting here was, I think that was probably Trump's best debate performance yet, because you're right, but and it's still so severely lacking. But that was his best yet. I mean, he was,
and he was good, and I think, but I also, in his defense, if anybody who listens to a podcast knows, you cannot articulate anything in 2 minutes. You can't articulate your position on Ukraine and all these different major world items in 2 minutes. You just cannot do it. You're just scratching the surface, and sometimes I wish they could just sit down and actually have a real debate where they give counter positions, like at a table for like an hour, and you only have two subjects, but it's hard to really get specific in 2 minutes in his defense.
Yeah.
But it was painful to watch. And Biden, I think the problem with Biden is, I don't know if they give him Adderall or what, but I think that they were afraid. They gave him a load that wasn't quite so hot. And I think it showed, because I watched him the next day at a campaign rally, and bro, they fired that dude up, man. They jacked him with the hot stuff. He was completely different. His voice was strong, and he was more articulate, but he looked like a crazy old man. And I guess that's what they were afraid of during the debate.
Well, they were
talking about he had his crazy man moments still.
Yeah. They were talking about how, debate night versus the next day. The next day is middle of the day on teleprompter, supporting him with a teleprompter, as opposed to nighttime. Dude's obviously sundowning. I feel
sundowning. What do you mean?
It's a form of, it's something people with dementia.
Okay.
In nighttime they really fade out, and
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but dude, I want to ask you, like right now, who's pulling the strings? Who's running things? It ain't him, dude.
No, it's clearly Obama. Obama didn't move out of Washington. He still lives there. Susan Rice, the inner circle, they're all still pulling all the policy strings, and think about it. It's a perfect situation for Obama, because you're getting him to be president via his policies, even though he's not our president. Because even if you review, you can go back and look at Biden throughout all of his years in the Senate. And a lot of the times he has positions back then in the Senate that are very similar to Trump's, on immigration, on all kinds of things. He was, remember how big he was on getting crime down? That's when he referred to criminals as super predators. Mm-hmm. And he's just, so now these policies, these things that he's saying are clearly just the puppet talking,
I don't know if y'all noticed,
and his wife,
Biden, the whole debate, he barely ever blinked, which is a sign of being on an upper. I'm serious, 100%. He did not really blink
100%.
Once or twice, maybe, which is crazy.
Dude, I mean, it was creepy how he was.
Yes, that's what when they showed him on split screen when Trump would be talking, and they would show Biden just staring off into like literally nowhere.
Yes,
just staring off, and that the way his face went like this, like
it was
looking in the hollow eyes, man. Hollow eyes, man.
Dude, that was awful. And I'm gonna tell you right now, his wife is a terrible human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, an absolutely horrible. And the way did you see her after the debate at that little party?
It was embarrassing.
When she was like, Joe, you
answered all the questions.
Good.
You answered all the questions. And when she went like this, and what did Trump do? And she pointed that finger, and when that look on her face, dude, I was like, oh, what was that?
That is a woman possessed with power. She is all about the power, man.
I saw.
Dude, I was trying to find that crazy
Trump or Biden when he first went into office 4 years ago, and then the in this clip of the debate, it's a night and day difference of the guy that's talking in there. Like, it's wild.
Oh, he's actively
Really
declining,
is.
Chris. He's.
Oh yeah.
There is not a chance in this world he could possibly serve out another term. No way, no how.
No.
There's no chance.
I will say though, I think he is narcissistic and hard headed enough that he's going to put up a fight for them to try to take him off.
Well, they'll just jack with his meds, and I'm sorry, Mike. They'll just jack with his meds if they need to force him out. They'll quit giving him his meds like he's supposed to have, and he'll decline to a point where he can't control anything, and they got him.
Yeah.
Well, the Bill O'Reilly said that his inside information is that a decision has been made for him to jump off the ticket, and they just can't decide when to do it. That he will pull out, and then that'll create. It's basically cheating because then the Democrats get to put up whoever they want, and that person will be an unelected. Only by the delegates, not by the people. And think about it. You could have somebody running for president that no one has voted for in the primary. And think about the scrutiny you escape. You get to go up there and you only have 3 months to go after them. And so what it does, the honeymoon period will still be in effect. Oh, look, it's a new face, somebody other than Trump and Biden. And to me, it's cheating. But yeah, I found that picture I was talking about earlier. That's crazy, bro. That's a crazy man.
He's on Space Mountain.
So I heard something this afternoon, Mike, and I don't know if you've heard, Chris, either one of you have heard this yet, but apparently that may not be an option for them without changing state laws before the election. But
and
apparently,
they will try.
Wisconsin and Nevada, two of the big key battleground states. I think Wisconsin, if I read it right, it's already too late.
It is.
That no matter what they do, Biden's name will still be on the ballot. And I think Nevada is like right at there, or was like Friday night at midnight or something like that. And then Georgia's coming up in 20 days. So they're going to have to change state laws before the convention.
Well, I think the only legal way to do it, and I haven't gotten into the specifics, nor do I care, but is if Kamala, he steps away or, he steps down, then she steps into the position. That's the only way that I feel is fair. And because, the vice president is just made for this perfect spot. And it would be hilarious watching her try to be the nominee. It's
what
painful.
can be unencumbered by what has been.
Yes. I saw 17. A montage. Yes. At like 20 different speeches, she says that same thing, and it's embarrassing. And did you see that she came out wearing like a $27,000 necklace, and people were like, yeah, that's a great way to connect to the people.
She's the only person less popular than Joe is her. They've got themselves back into this beautiful, wonderful little DEI liberal nightmare box corner.
Yes.
That they have almost no way out of now, and it's glorious.
You can't remove a black woman and not give her the shot. You can. That would be racist and all kind of, all the big words, and they would be, but their pursuit of power, they don't care. They'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to
It's
put
gonna
all
be
the
very-
stops
dude.
on this thing.
Yep. There's no way though it's Joe. I don't. Whatever. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's no way that man is going to be the president. There's no way because the media's coming after him now. It's done, dude.
But the media, I mean, don't you think this was marching orders given, that this is all? I'm not. I think when you get older, you don't necessarily get into. I choked on my own spit a while ago. I'm trying to recover. Is that part of sundowning when you choke on your own spit?
Yeah, there you go. Yep, there you go.
Okay. But it's all part of the plan. I think when you get older, you just, and if you ever listen to Tucker Carlson, and I listened to another guy that he interviewed, I'm like Tucker was. I just believed in the institutions. I believed that whether they were Republican or Democrat, they were out for the best interests of our country. And I just had the fairy tale belief of our system. And my friend Skripka, who many years ago told me I was crazy that I supported the Patriot Act. And this was after 9/11 that allowed, the phone tapping, and they would only spy on you if you were receiving a phone call from someone outside the country. And there were all these, these parameters that they couldn't go around. They had to go to the FISA court. And man, I was 100% into it. I was like, you're just a conspiracy theorist. And man, was he right? Was he right? Because that law has been used on Americans. It's been used on the president of the United States.
Yep.
They're leaking phone calls when he was talking to foreign leaders as a president. They were leaking the phone calls. And it's just disgusting. So I think I'm like Tucker and a lot of other people where I realized that, I don't know, maybe the humans involved have corrupted the system such that maybe it's not as this pristine thing that I thought it was.
You're absolutely right. It's not. And I think I know which interview you're talking about. When that Scottish dude, is that the one you're?
That or
he was interviewing
Turkish.
that Turkish, Scottish guy. I listened to it while I was gone on my trip, and the discussion was awesome. Because both of them were kind of saying,
yes, with the interview with Tucker, yes, the Scottish guy, yes,
yeah, the Scottish guy, yeah, that was a great interview. And then just another quick Tucker note: watching him just absolutely dismantle that reporter and the crowd the other day at that event was just a thing of beauty.
It really was.
They can't take it when you don't back down, and so. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to get off track here.
What else we got?
Forward, we got the debate out of the way. The next thing is some small town news here in Pope County, Arkansas. There was, Mike, you can go into more detail about the casino possibly coming to Russellville.
So I guess this fight's been going on for many years, and largely led by the religious side of Pope County. Pope County is a very religious county, and that's a wonderful thing. I've noticed that when I moved here, the people here are different. They're good people. If you're on the side of the road here with a flat, somebody's going to stop to help you. I mean, it's just a wonderful place. There's churches everywhere. It's one of the reasons there's not a liquor store located in our county. That's a good thing. But the fight has been ongoing because I think that the main power group was the opposing Indian group. Utilized the locals here to really put up a fight because their interest, the religious people, we know what their interest is. But then the opposing casino group, they don't want the competition of a new casino close to the one and just across the border, in Muskogee or something, right across from Fort Smith.
Yeah.
There's a casino and everybody from Arkansas goes there. Anyway, they just don't want the competition from a broader point. And so it's led to this long fight between the opposition and the religious groups. Well, it's finally cleared all hurdles. The quorum court voted for it, and they've cleared all the boring legal issues. The only thing that can stop it now is a signature campaign to try to get, if they get 90,000, I think, signatures, they can get it on the ballot in November, where the people of Polk County will have to approve it in order for us to have a casino. And I believe they voted previously, and they voted, it was on maybe a different measure, but the vote was against a casino, and we're getting one anyway. But I think they're at 70. The Arkansas paper said they were at like 75,000, and they've got like 2 weeks to get the final 20,000. So if they get it, then we'll have to wait till November. But if they don't get the signatures, then this thing's green lighted, and they should start construction, I think, within the next year. They've got a few hurdles to clear with permits and stuff that they couldn't get until they were cleared by the quorum court and got their permit. So then the debate comes back to, do we want a casino? And I figure we could all throw our opinions in on this.
Where do I sign the petition?
There's Chris's spot. They were actually at our church a couple weeks ago gathering signatures. And I've thought about it long and hard, and I'm just, I guess I'm more of a proponent of freedom, where if they want to build a casino, let them build a casino. I don't know that, we don't have a liquor store here. All that does is it doesn't stop anyone from drinking. It makes them go to Blackwell to get their beer and liquor. They're going to gamble or do whatever they got to do. They're going to drive to, an hour and a half up the road and go do it there. You're not really stopping anything. And then you're also not getting the economic benefit for the county. And so I think I'm for it. I like the tax value that we'll get from it. I like the good paying jobs with good insurance that will come with it to our local residents. I like that as soon as they build it, I think Polk County is going to get a check cut to them. All the cities will get a check cut to them. Polk County is going to build a new county jail, I believe, with the funds that they get from it. So I kind of like the money that comes into our county. So at the end of the day, I think I'm for it. I don't know that withholding it necessarily stops people from having, I guess, behavior that you don't necessarily, that the religious folks don't like. I don't know. Maybe y'all give me which word?
Religious folks.
That's probably the wrong. Should I say Christian folks?
I don't know.
Because religious, yeah, I get where you're going with that. But y'all give me some counterpoints, maybe, or tell me y'all's positions on it. And I'd like to hear why we shouldn't have it, because I've analyzed it a lot. And I guess from a governmental point of view, I kind of like the economic benefit and the good jobs for the people here. So what do y'all think?
Well, real quick, Chris, before we get into the opinions, and Mike, I can't remember. How did Russellville ever become the site for this thing to begin with? Does anybody know how that happened? Why Russellville?
I don't know, but just if you just look on a map, there's a big gap between Pine Bluff, Mississippi, their casinos, and then all the way to Oklahoma. Okay. And it's also the same way. It's also the same thing for the state of Arkansas wants to build a prison, because right now they don't have a prison between Pine Bluff and the border of Arkansas at Fort Smith. So they're looking for somewhere along the I-40 corridor to put in a new prison. And it's kind of the location and geography wise, kind of like the casinos. They're looking. There's kind of a gap here. We're on a major thoroughfare. They're all in Oklahoma. Right. I see them all the time. Yeah. And they also support, like when all those officers were shot in Dallas, man, the casino had a big blue had a big blue line up on their casino on one of the tall high-rise buildings. Very supportive of the local police, of the local communities. You won't see more beautiful roads than the roads that surround that casino. They will be built, and you can find a casino in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, and when you start getting close to the casino, man, the roads are perfect. It's just kind of neat the way they operate.
And when did it first come about in Russellville? Do we remember?
Yeah, I don't know. I won't claim to know because
hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been. I think it's been a 6-year fight. And when I moved here last year, I started trying to figure out what was happening. And man, there's a lot of legal crap, just a lot of process issues that were coming up, and it was just turned into this long, drawn out fight.
Okay.
So anyway, what's your opinion there, Eric?
Chris,
Should we have a casino?
This says June 2020, Gulfside Casino Partnership received license to build in the River Valley, Russellville, Arkansas, in 2020, June.
Yeah, and so I think that's
I don't know if that's correct or not.
Year. No, that's correct. But I think the whole process kind of began 6 years-ish ago, and then they got it approved, and there was all these court battles and litigation, crazy litigation.
It was put to the people, though, at some point. It was what you said, Mike, right?
I believe it was.
I wasn't here then, so.
Vaguely, it was.
And they voted against it. How is it still here? How's it coming?
That's why I need to learn more about that.
I don't have
Chris,
enough prep
your thought on it
to tell you why.
I'm looking at it.
What's your opinion, Chris? Chris,
you are right. Can you hear me? Check.
Yes, there you are.
You're right, Mike. It's going to bring in people. It's going to bring in money. I have a saying that I try to live my life by, and I do it with my kids and everything, and it's never trade land for peace. But the people that influx in our town, what kind of people are they going to be? Are they going to be bringing discontent, or lack of a better word, hate and discontent to our little peaceful town? And another thing is the money side. Is the money we get, is it worth bringing the casino here and everything that's going to surround it? Proverbs 16:8 says, "Better to have a little with godliness than be rich and dishonest." That's kind of my stance. Like, is God going to bless $10 million that we got from a casino, or $1 million that we got? He can do way more than that versus that we got from a gambling casino, being dishonest and all this stuff that goes along with that. People that are addicted to gambling, they're going to be gambling their whole paychecks away. They can't pay for their stuff for their kids. It's going to be easier to access here than having to drive 2 hours to, across state lines,
Right.
That's just, to me, it's like with Brooklyn, my daughter, if she does something bad, or like this whole trading land for peace thing, I'm not going to give her something she wants just to make her happy. If I don't give it to her, we're not going to be at peace. We're going to be in a fight. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of my stance on it. Another, some more scriptures, 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Some people craving money have wandered from the true faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. That's 1 Timothy 6:10. I try to look at everything. I'm still learning how to do this, man, but just look through everything from a biblical worldview. And looking at through that lens, I don't want the casino here in our town, man. I just don't. I don't care if it brings
to add to
more
your
money, more jobs, better roads. It's not worth it.
Well, to add to your point, my preacher actually said today, and he used a funnel as the example, and he's talking about living a life of significance. and being focused on God. It was just an incredible sermon. And one of the things he talked about, you got your funnel, big part at the top, little part at the bottom, and you're putting in your life, your kids, your hobbies. And, once it all comes out, at the bottom, you need to be, that all needs to go through, like you said, a God or Jesus perspective. And if you have something you're putting in that funnel that's taken away from that, which you could argue the casino clearly would do that, then you need to get it out of your life. So you could use that same thought process to, I think biblically, it's very easy to see that this is not probably the best thing. Because another thing too, there are people who, like you said, who may not drive there. I know some people who would willingly go there, who shouldn't go there and would be wasting money on the slot machines, but at the same time, I'm always like, we're free. You're free. You have free will, free choice, go do what you got to do. But anyway, what's your spot on it, Eric?
You do have free will choice to drive all the way to Oklahoma if you choose, but that don't mean you got to bring it here. That's
right. No, that's fair point.
And like what you just said is with that funnel thing is like, and they say it all the time at our church is like, if you're facing something, if you got a decision to make, or if you want to run through something through the Bible, lay a scripture on it. That's the exact same thing. Filter it through the word.
Okay. So I'm still hung up on something. Chris, Google Master, maybe you can find this out. So I cannot get past, if it's already been voted on, how and where did it get back to where we are now? I don't understand. I don't get that part of it.
But what aside from that, though, where do you stand? Like if they were just coming today to say, what do you want to do? Where do you stand on it?
Okay. Y'all are going to hate me. I can't.
You can't ride the fence. Get off the fence.
Here's where I'm at right now. It's sitting here at this moment. I've just got to be honest with you. I don't know. My gut, if like you were making me decide right now here, this instance, I'd say I don't want it.
Then that's your position.
Well,
there's nothing wrong with that.
But you brought up some points I was wanting to get into here. You said the freedom thing. So you believe in freedom. So where do we draw the line on freedom? Freedom.
And I absolutely believe in freedom as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So freedom to use pot. Is pot legal? Make pot legal? Freedom to
capitalism. The freedom to make money. Capitalism.
That's the pot thing. Look what pot's doing to Colorado. It's destroying it. I mean, they're making Googles of money, but it's corruption is overtaking it. Some of the stats, I don't have all those on me for right now, but emergency room visits and mental health is getting more. I mean, it's just all just crumbling. Anyway, I'm just saying, where does the freedom thing stop? What do we want in our, like I look at Polk County like our house, so to speak, kind of like my house. This is my yard. Polk County's my yard. And I want the casino to get off my lawn. No, I'm just kidding. So two things. One, if it's already been voted on, then what the heck are we even having this discussion for? But two, I just feel like as much as I would want, the selfish part of me, the shallow part of me would want the casino here because it would bring some really cool stuff to Polk County. Like we probably would have got the Buc-ee's that Benton got.
Yes.
If we would have, I do believe, I think some of the chamber people kind of hinted at that was one of the reasons that Buc-ee's chose Benton is because of the narrow views here in Polk County. So yeah, there's a part of me that would love that stuff, man. I mean, I bet Russellville Fire Department, those guys will probably have some kick butt new fire trucks and awesome ambulances. And I mean, there'd be some great things, but at the end of the day, where do you draw that line? And so I just feel like my gut's telling me the right thing to do is say no.
And I think
fire
that's
trucks at the expense of somebody's daughter getting raped because some Joe Blow's in here at the casino and drunk, and you know what I mean. That's extreme.
well.
But
I mean, yeah, hypothetical for sure, but I think you're
Square
spot
that for me.
on. I think you're spot on though, because I've been 51% for it, 49 against it.
51.
But I cannot deny that if you run it through the filter that my pastor spoke about today, it would not survive that filter. With that said, I still like it. Maybe that's because I worked in government. Maybe that's because I know how important a tax base is to the county. Jobs, and these will be well-paid jobs with excellent benefits. That means a lot to me as well. Now, I can also make a counterpoint against it. So when I was talking about capitalism and the freedom to make money, right? Well, one of the bad things that brings are the Bitcoin mines. Again, so if you're using that same argument, hey, they're just here to make money. It's America, build your Bitcoin mine. Well, I don't want a Bitcoin mine nowhere near me. And if I lived around the casino, I probably wouldn't want it near me either. So that kind of shows my selfish view of it. I can certainly see y'all's point of view on it. And that wouldn't take much to push me over the top, but I think I'm tainted in my view because of having worked in government and seeing how important all that is. But like you said, Chris, I mean, sacrifice what, And we're going to have people come in that, that aren't from the area. They'll be hanging out. It's just, there's a lot of bad that can come out of it.
That would have never been here before a casino was here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What can we do for Pope County to get all those cool things that we talked about? I mean,
we don't want all those things because because I've heard people on the Russellville message boards and stuff, they'll be like, we need more stuff to do. And I say, this little town is awesome. Pope County is awesome. There's just enough. If you want stuff to do, go to Conway, go to Little Rock. Our population growth has been so slow and steady that the county's been able to develop at a really good rate that's somewhat kind of controlled. And I think we're in I came from a county that was a disaster, and it's kind of neat here to see the freedom that we have in the county and to see that it's a great community. And so all that stuff that a lot of people want for entertainment and everything else, that brings a lot of bad with it. So you can make that same argument for the casinos,
I agree with what you're saying. I don't know if I said that. Maybe I didn't say that right. But like to improve, it could be better without bringing a casino here. There's things we can do for Russellville. It's got to be something to like invest in the city and the community. Things for our kids, like community centers or parks. Or I use Conway as an example. They're getting ready to build an aquatic park, community center. I mean, how do we get that kind of stuff?
They just built a homeless shelter there that's air conditioned, and if you're living around that, imagine when folks who haven't lived in the real world, that live in their bubble. And I don't want to be controversial, but some people who go to church every day live in a bubble, and they have good hearts, and they want to build a community center in Conway because it's all about caring for people. But the reality is it becomes a horrible headache for everyone living around it, and it doesn't solve the problem. It simply is a way of feeding the stray cat. It just, you draw more people into that area. It doesn't actually fix the problem. And I wouldn't want to live anywhere near that place to have the zombies walking around. And we had a homeless guy nearly kill one of our cops one day when he was just doing a check on him on the sidewalk. And the cop used poor officer safety tactics and got sucked down to the ground with them and got the heck beat out of them. I mean, sure, there's some great people out there and stuff, but if you live in the real world, that's just not something you want in your community.
And I agree. It is easy to get drawn into the capitalism side of it and what all the tax revenue and all that stuff would bring. But you're right. I like that, what you said. Our little community is great the way it is.
Yeah.
There's some things we could improve on, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I'll take it just like it is.
Same.
I think I'm a no, man. I am really curious about this whole why it's come up again thing if it was voted on before, though. That has really got me puzzled, and the curiosity part of my brain is just like running wild right now.
Well, when you go research, you'll get lost in the legal mumbo jumbo lawsuit crap that went on with it. It's just, I looked into it and I was just like, I don't care enough to continue this research.
And I think actually,
it was so deep.
Yeah, I just
I
Googled
do know.
it
I
trying to
remember
find an
reading this
answer, and
week.
it was
You couldn't find it? Yeah.
no. It's
It's
just a
all
bunch
this
of,
is
like
irrelevant.
I said,
You know
a mumbo
why?
jumbo mess.
Yes.
Every bit we just discussed about this casino is irrelevant. We didn't even have to talk about it. You know why?
Wow.
Because it was announced this week that B-Dubs is coming back to Las Vegas.
That's true.
Oh, yeah,
And
baby.
you know
Back in
why?
the same spot.
You know why it's probably coming back? It's probably coming back because they know a casino's coming. You know why Chipotle's probably coming back or coming to here when they weren't coming before? Probably
hate
because there's a
Chipotle.
casino.
I hate
love
Chipotle anyway.
I've never been a
love
fan of that.
Chipotle.
Never. Dude,
It's
Taco
good
Bell
stuff,
beats
man.
Chipotle any day.
And I
They're
would take
just-
no
they're
B
different.
dubs over a casino.
I can't wait for B-Dubs. I'm so excited. I'm a B-Dubs guy.
I like
And they won't be-
B-Dubs, and I like
They won't be-
their cold. They have excellent cold beer there as well.
Yep.
A very, very frosty, frothy cold beer.
And they won't be running a Mexican drug cartel out of the back of this one like they did the last one. So
Let's
I
hope
think we'll be
not.
all right.
Yeah, somebody left a joint
Hey.
on the tray.
Oh, good God.
That's what they got shut down.
I on that note, I went to the Point Remove Brewery. Monica and Gracie and I all went. And I don't know if you've been, Eric, but it is a Houston level quality brewery. I'm talking when you walk in the door, it's nice. The beers are all, I've talked about it before with you. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but it's really cool because they have a long pull beer, and and the label on it is a guy on a kayak out in the water, named after Long Pull. They've got a Pettigene beer. They've got a Nebo Haze, shows a guy on a mountaintop on his bicycle. And then they've got Dover Lights, the Sasquatch walking through the forest. And it's all local connected. And they got one called Motown for Morrilton. I thought that was awesome. And we even got a tray of like an appetizer tray, and it came with like some pretzels, 3 different kinds of cheeses, some Pettigene summer sausage. I got the pizza while I was there. It was a great, great place to eat. And I thought it was kind of neat. They have on the board I saw, they're having a Bible study there every week at a brewery. And that would blow a lot of people's minds, but I think it's awesome because you can really connect to people when they're sitting around, enjoying a beverage, and you can talk about God. I thought that was.
Where is it?
Some people
The old
consider
Coke
that
plant
controversial.
Used to be on 64 in Morrilton.
Where?
Where the old Coke plant
You know where
was.
Cedar Lounge is?
Yeah.
It's across the street from Cedar Lounge.
The Coke. You said Coke plant, didn't you, Chris?
Yep.
Ah, okay. I know where you're talking about now. I never heard of it, man. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, and they're going to be opening in downtown Russellville, just in the old fire station. They're going to open a beer garden there, and it's Point Removed Brewery.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I just love the local names and all the local beers. It was pretty awesome.
See, that kind of goes along what we were just talking about. Okay? Alcohol. Casino, alcohol.
Mhm.
Pope Kansas Dry County. We have, I don't have a bit of problem with having a cold beer. One, I don't drink a whole bunch. But what's okay and what's not?
Well, yeah, you just can't have a liquor store, but I mean, all these restaurants all have liquor licenses. They've loosened that up, because when I left here 25 years ago, the only place you could get a beer was at a place was the North 40, because you had to have a club membership, and then one other place, I can't think of the name
North
of
40.
it.
I hadn't thought of that place.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So they've loosened up a lot. But do you remember the podcast? Did you listen to the podcast about the guy talking about the afterlife? All the remember how he talked about that they would do Bible studies? They would go to a bar and have Bible studies. I just loved what he said about that. He's like, you'd be shocked at the people we could reach, because they're
Wilson. Go ahead.
Because their defensiveness is lowered, and you can actually get in there and talk with them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't run into an alcoholic or two and pull them out of the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't
Wilson,
you said, Eric.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the Christian singer Ann Wilson, she's great. More of a country vibe. She's got something like that started, some kind of ministry where she's going into bars,
Awesome.
and just sitting down and visiting with people who aren't in there just getting. Maybe there are some getting there slothering drunk. Obviously they need some help there, but the folks who are just going in to sit down, have a cold beer and some pretzels, and go to the house, visiting with them.
But not everybody.
What
not
better
everybody
place
can
to talk.
Not everybody can
Chris,
go
go
in
ahead.
there and not everybody can go in there and have one cold beer and a pretzel.
Absolutely,
I can't.
That's a real
Absolutely
thing.
cannot. And do I think somebody's going to go to hell for having one beer? Absolutely not. But on the flip side, I'm not going to go out and have a cold beer, because it ruins my witness. I can't talk to anyone about Jesus after that. And number two,
What'd you say, Chris? I'm sorry. Back up.
like, if I go out and have a beer in a restaurant and I sit there and turn around and try to share the gospel with somebody,
Oh, okay.
they're like, no, you're a fool, man. You're drinking. What's wrong with you? You don't believe what you say you believe. It ruins your witness. Paul says, I'm not going to do anything that will cause people to stumble. And I can't for myself. Like, I was the guy drinking a 6-pack out of his truck, hiding it from my wife because I wanted to have a beer. I can't just have one beer. I don't know many people that can just have one beer.
I get that.
But that's just just saith Chris.
Well, I mean,
I feel
it's definitely an individual choice, but there's not a spot in the Bible that you can find where drinking alcohol is wrong. There isn't a spot.
It says, don't be a drunk.
Don't be a drunk.
Don't
It
be
says
drunk.
that. Yeah.
Which also means when you stuff your face and you get so full you're sick, you're no different than a drunk. I mean,
I agree. And like that,
Talking to me,
the gay and lesbian person is no different than somebody that has sex before marriage.
100%. And also, I like, because that's a pretty.
But alcohol is a stumbling block for a lot of dudes, a lot of people.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So is Facebook, so is Twitter, so is Instagram, so is going to church and seeing a girl with her boobs hanging out wearing a low-cut dress. I mean, that can go on endlessly. So it's an individual choice. But I think I always find it funny, like in an area like this, where it's kind of viewed, obviously we don't even have a liquor store here, but I think it's so amazing to me that everyone forgets that they were having a wedding party, and when they ran out of beer or wine, Jesus made more wine. It's like almost like they have this gap in their brain that what do you think the purpose of the wine was for? Why didn't he just give them water? It's everybody, this is like hands off, don't touch. And it's like, he could have just brought water, but no, he made wine. He wanted everyone to have a good time at the party. And It's a wedding party. It's very traditional. And I really had that point driven home to me when I went to that Catholic wedding. And afterwards, they were serving, and we were on the church grounds, and my mind was just blown. I mean, I just couldn't even hardly process the thought. But they actually quoted that before we went in there about Jesus turning water into wine. And so, the point that I kind of want to make is it's clearly an individual choice. And if that is leading you, just like that filter today, if alcohol is causing you to disconnect from the Lord and it's coming out the bottom of the filter, then you need to pull that out of your life. It is certainly a stumbling block to many people, but it's almost like gun control. Like, just because so-and-so is an idiot doesn't mean that I can't partake in a beer. And I want to be able to go out and be able to wear my shirt that says Dover First Baptist, and I can drink a beer without worried about a religious person becoming a Pharisee and casting judgment down on me. And I think that's why so many people have church hurt and everything else, is because we get so caught up on one issue. Let's say alcohol. This one thing, and we get so focused on it as Christians and how it's bad, that you end up driving away people that you could bring into the flock. And but when it comes down to it, it clearly is an individual choice. And if it's causing you to stumble, then you need to quit. No question about it.
I agree 100% that it is an individual choice. And if you're not feeling convicted about it, the Bible says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, not me work out your salvation, Mike, or Eric's salvation, or ride my wife's salvation. It's between me and God. And I 100% agree with that for sure. But it's,
I feel you. Come on, Chris.
you make, Mike, after how many beers does it take you to have impaired judgment? 2, 3?
No, I'm a big
To
dude.
feel a buzz.
It
To
depends
feel a
on-
buzz. To feel a buzz.
To feel a
Why even
buzz,
drink it?
I
You drinking it to
probably
feel a
need-
buzz.
I probably need 3.
I disagree with that.
Mike,
I probably
on,
need
man.
3.
3?
I don't drink it to
I
get a
probably-
buzz.
But
I cannot lie on
you're
this.
an
I enjoy
anomaly.
getting. I enjoy a buzz. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy
You're
a
an
buzz.
anomaly. That's an anomaly thing to say, Eric. That you're like a
I can tell, I believe-
0.0001%.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably, yeah. I can get with that. You're right. You're right.
there is nothing better than a cold beer on a hot day. Like, I was at my mom's the other day. Nobody even knows this. I haven't took a drink of alcohol in 4 years, and I was mowing, and I opened her fridge, and there was a cold bottle laying in her refrigerator, 2 of them. Before I knew it, I had the thing twisted off, man. I was fixing to take a drink, and I poured it out. I was like, "What am I doing, man?" Like,
I feel you.
no
I get
one
what you're
was
saying,
around.
dude.
I could have had a beer, and no one would even know. No one would even known. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
But if I would have taken one drink,
Well-
one drink would have led to wanting more. I'd have been sneaking around again. Everything else.
I definitely agree
That's
with you,
me.
sir.
That's me.
Yeah,
And I
My
agree.
conviction.
And you and I have talked about this, and I think you're 100% right. And I think, you made the right choice, and you should continue to make that choice. And there may come a time, if I'm always analyzing myself, that if it ever becomes a problem, and these are honest conversations you have with yourself where you're like, I'm drinking too much. And I've done that before. I've had where I'm like, yeah, I'm drinking too much. I need to scale it back. So it's like everything we do. It's discipline. You have to hold yourself in check. I've gotten rid of Instagram because I'm tired of half naked women popping up no matter what I do. It just
Same here.
they'll filter in. I only have Facebook now. Twitter. I have Twitter because Twitter's not a photo thing. I don't get. It just never happens with Twitter. And so if I have to do with beer, like I did Instagram, I'll do that. If I have to make that choice where it's starting to become a problem, I have no problem doing that.
Just like you said, Mike, your convictions and my convictions are two different things. Two different.
Correct.
We walk two different paths, and that's just, that's just how it is, and that's with everybody.
That's right.
Just like you, Eric, your convictions are different than ours.
Like I can't remember the last time. Literally sitting here thinking about it, I can't remember the last time I've had a buzz. But you put a cake in front of me, and I'll destroy that sucker. And that's terrible for me. I can eat, and I can't stop eating. Like that's a problem. Sweets and junk, that's a problem for me. It can be that way with anything. It doesn't have to be alcohol.
That's true.
That's right.
But where
It could be video game. It could be video games.
Yes.
So video games can turn you into a horrible father. Your kids are in there, little toddlers running around, and you're just hours on end. Your wife's changing the diapers. I mean, this can go on, and I want to get us as a people to be like, let's stop all sins, and when we're gluttonous or we're drunks or it's all the same. Whatever causes you to sin is, and that's everything. You cannot drink a single drop and never have done drugs in your life. I've never done drugs in my life, ever plan to.
Me neither.
That doesn't mean I walk around with a crown on my head, looking around like, you pitiful people. You smoked weed, you're a disgusting pig. Everybody has their walk and their struggles and their stumbles. And we have to support each other through those because they're different for every single one of us. And
this exact thing hit me hard the other day, man. And I said it a little bit a while ago, but somebody was talking about like people that are like trying to transition from a man to a woman, and people that are gay and stuff. And like, we shame them all the time and all this, but that sin is no different than us having sex before marriage or us watching porn. It's the same thing. But how dare I've done it. I've done it.
Sure.
All three of us have. It's no different than that. Like, what are we doing to help them? Like, what are we doing? And I was like, my mind was I was like, what? Do we hate the sin? Absolutely. But
there's sin that there isn't a scale of sins in the Bible. They are of equal weight. And we talk about how, like, that's what I want to try to tell my friends who are they're kind of afraid of church for that same reason that we've all been discussing, the judgment hammer coming down. And I'm like, I want to tell them that, like, once you believe Jesus is your Savior, that He died on the cross for you, and that He is your Lord and Savior, you are saved, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Are we right? Am I right on that?
You are justified instantly. Justified instantly.
Okay, so you're here, you're saved. That doesn't matter what you do here, be it bad or good. Underneath this, you could be the biggest giver in the world. You could save babies all over the world and bring them back. You could be the best human on the planet, and you are no quicker going to get into heaven than the guy who has been a murderer and who has taken Jesus up in his life and believes in the Lord. You are no different. All this under here, once you're here, you're saved. This is works. You got works, and you got your sin over here. It doesn't matter. Once you hit this, your works don't make you better, and you're not on a bigger tier than someone else. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do those things, and we should all do those things. But sometimes I think sometimes churches and people, sometimes people within the church can become like Pharisees. And I want to get away from that. I'm not saying become the United Methodist Church and allow anything goes. Sin is sin, and good works is good works. But let's not get confused here. They have no bearing on once you're saved. Am I wrong on that?
Faith without works is dead.
But am I wrong on that?
No, you are justified instantly. Saved by grace. Believe with your mouth, believe in your heart, confess with your mouth, you're saved. Justified instantly. That's what the Bible says.
And so yes.
But,
and then there's a whole Bible on trying to live right. We should do these things. We should do this. And we should all work toward that.
That's the works.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
But do those works change your status?
Absolutely not.
So the best human being that is alive on this earth right now, next to a murderer, does God view them any different? Are their statuses any different?
No.
See, we got to be real like that.
If that good guy that says, "Oh, I'm good, I lived a good life," he never accepted Jesus, but this other guy, the murderer, they're side by side, and he accepts Jesus, who's going to heaven?
Yeah, that's a great point.
The murderer.
That's a great.
Not the guy that lived a good life.
It's a great illustration.
My favorite. There was this preacher. He told the story about Jesus on the cross, thief on both sides, thief and a murderer on one side, and the murderer says, "I believe you were." I can't remember which one on the right side. He said, "I believe you are who you say you are," and Jesus said, "You'll be with me in paradise." The instant he gets to heaven, the guy that was on the cross with Jesus, the murderer, he gets to heaven. The guy at the gate was like, "Why are you here? Who are you?" And the guy's like, "The guy in the middle said I could come." Like, what denomination? I'm not. What Bible study do you go to?
Yeah.
I don't.
I like that. The guy in the middle said I could come.
Yeah, asking all
what
these
missions
questions.
have you done?
Yeah,
what missions have you done? Oh,
nothing.
I haven't.
Nothing. The guy in the middle said I could come.
That's right.
That's great.
That's a great one to carry on the week right there.
That's the message you take in when you're at a brewery or you're somewhere like that. That's how you connect with those folks, man.
I don't have any problem with going in there and doing that at all. I think that's a great. I would go in there with you and do it, but I'm not having a beer.
You can have water, and I will have the Pettigene or the Dover Lights.
I will have
actually try
Pepper.
it. It's really good.
one quote, one scripture here. Jesus and John, he's talking the adulterous woman laying at his feet, and like back then, like being adulterer, he's like, you're dead. Like we're gonna stone you to death.
Absolutely.
You know, like back then.
Yes.
You know, she's laying at Jesus' feet. Everybody's yelling at him to like kill her, kill her, kill her. And Jesus says these famous words. We've all heard them before. But he said, they kept demanding an answer. He stood up again and said, "All right, let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." And then he stooped down and wrote it in the dust.
Boom.
That's right.
Nobody.
Let's not get caught up in the, we got to watch to always not become like Pharisees and to always keep that door open and bring people in and not get caught up in legalism. At the end of the day, it's an individual walk with Christ, and all of us should be trying to be more like him every day.
That's right.
And
if you do that,
and
everything else, you'll start pushing all that other stuff away.
That's right. That is right. That is right.
100%. Man, I love you guys. I think it was a great show.
Love you. Yeah, it was.
I know next week Eric going to give him a little preview of what's coming next week.
Yeah, man. Next week, a good friend of mine, Mr. Pierce Renfro from church, 18-year-old young man, going to come speak to us about his life story. He's super inspiring. You guys are going to love him. He's out there fighting a good fight every day for conservative values. Fighting amongst all this liberal nonsense about this abortion amendment here in Arkansas. Big right to life guy. And you don't see a lot of young people willing to stand up like he is. And so we're going to have him on next week. Again, super inspiring story. It's good to see young people that have it together like that. Because I know when I was 18, I was very similar. Me and Mike both were. We were out doing all the right things, and so it's good to see they took our example's been taken up. So
Oh yeah, totally, man. Just pillars of the community at 18, baby.
what we should do as soon as we get him on, Mike, is let's tell our 18-year-old story and then let him go.
No, we should just let those stories gather dust.
Well, the statute of limitations is elapsed on all our stuff, so
Yeah.
I think we're good.
I think we're
Y'all like
good.
me, I was getting arrested and getting my driver's license suspended and all that stuff.
Check.
Yeah.
Done that. Yeah. Oh,
I should have been arrested, but wasn't. I just didn't get caught.
All right.
good stuff.
Man, let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for Mike and Eric. I thank you for this podcast. I thank you for all our listeners. I pray, God, that somebody listening to this show, Father, that they will learn something from this, Father. Help us to draw closer to you every day, Father. Help us to be more of an example to you, Father. Help us to not get caught up in legalism, Father, and this Pharisee mindset, Father. Help us, Father, to not cast stones at somebody, Father. Help us, Father, in everything that we do, Father. Lead and guide us by your Holy Spirit. And we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to the Life After Sunday podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Please give us a like and a comment, and go follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. And as always, keep fighting the good fight.